So just to point out to people, if they haven't been watching, obviously the Fearless champions at the bottom of your screen are banned away for each team because they played it last game. The Skarner was banned last game. It's going to be let through this time around. We have seen the Renekton be a little bit more of a clear answer into the Skarner, especially in the hands of, say, 369. But I think it's a more aggressive pick into it, and also backline access is huge.
Yeah, definitely do agree. Whilst I do feel as though Skarner at baseline should almost always have more team fight impact. Renekton's been in the meta for long enough that we know the kind of things that he can pull off, and surprisingly in lane definitely can go, you know, relatively toe-to-toe. One of the few things that Skarner doesn't have is sustain, and of course Renekton has that in his kit, so trading back and forth over an extended period of time can benefit him. FPX though, what will they be looking to go towards in this game number 2?
Give him the sticks, man.
Only one AP jungle technically banned away, and that's because obviously that's Aaliyah. It's taken off the cards, unless you want to classify Rumble, of course, as a jungle flex. You just don't see it super often. There's the Brando for Beichuan, and there's the Corki for Ucal. So, what will FPX want to do in this case? Will they want to answer out the mid lane? Or do they have to answer out the mid lane? Lucian. And now, of course, also a champion you'll probably be kind of familiar with, Deokdam, who we're following for a long time. But not something that we see super often in the bottom lane with him at the minute. So, definitely a flex. We'll see where FPX decide to go with this as we move into the second bans here, looking towards support bans most likely for FPX.
Dago is excited, and I'm excited too. And a lot of damage and a lot of fighting of these comps, and we saw it unfold in that game number 1, which I was very happy about. Now, I'm still hoping for a very aggressive jungler for MilkyWay. We'll see what he wants to match up into Beichuan's brand. The Nautilus banned away as a typical choice into the Leona. But the AP is going to start being whittled down here, the Ziggs.
Oh, wow. I was also going to say likely the Alistar, but it seems like they're happy to let the Alistar go. I mean, what will TT do at this point then? They just want another AP jungler off the cards. They want to potentially take away Lilia. Take away Karthus, perhaps, actually. Karthus may be something I'd be looking pretty... I'd be licking my lips if I was the MilkyWay wanted to play the Karthus. Nidalee, though, is the takeaway, so they don't want an aggressive invade jungler. So where do FPX go now? That's really the question. I mean, yeah, Lilia, I think works fine here. There's no point in click CC on TT's side. It is, at the end of the day, up to FPX. The options are super wide. Yeah, wombo combo, anything. They can do anything right now. They land on Lilia. Now TT have their whole bottom lane to pick, though with the caveat that this Lucian likely isn't going to be in the bottom lane. Should be cares. But of course, can be flexed down there. But I think if Varus gets locked in, they're probably going to shift that Lucian into the mid lane for sure. And then give Deokdam a champion that they're happy to answer this Varus into, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I don't know, Callista maybe.
I could see that maybe a little bit more aggressive. But I also want to take a little bit of time to talk about this jungle matchup because that is our big spotlight tonight. And they are going to be so fast farming that I'm sure we're going to get very contentious objectives here.
Yeah, one thing, you know, the difference between these two junglers specifically, Brand a little bit slower off the marks, right? But once he starts to get going, once he gets to that sort of third rotation is where I'll say he really comes online. Second is quite quick as well, don't get me wrong. That's when he starts to really take over a game. Once he's got that Pyroclasm as well, that's when he becomes a massive, massive threat. Lilia, off the marks, a lot of options, right? You can look for a Raptor invade start. You can look to go Raptors into, your own Raptors rather, into a straight up invade on the other side. That's also really strong. It just depends on the lane setup that FPX find themselves with. Kai'Sa will be the last rotation in for FPX. That'll be Deokdam's, no doubt. So that's Lucian mid lane into that Corki. We'll see how it plays out. Lucian mid is not something we see super frequently, but definitely a pick I feel like is underutilized as an AD option, considering what the meta is in FPX. Full teamfight composition, very similar to the last game of TT. Same deal, right? They're both very much going for these teamfights. It's about how they actually land, what the setup is moving into these early objectives particularly. That was what made the game for FPX and broke it for TT.
I really like Deokdam getting the Kai'Sa here, giving his team a little bit more AP potential there as well. Just because if you go another AD down there, it becomes fully AD and then Lilia. But I really think that the pace of game is going to be set by one of these junglers, and it's going to be a lot about how the lanes and the priority works out between them, affecting those paths. Because we saw last game, there was a lot of invading, there was a lot of tussling early, and FPX took control and didn't really let up.
That's what I'm worried about with TT now. If they lose control of this early game again, not to say that they effectively rolled over, it just felt like FPX didn't really, you know, the decisions they made, it left TT with very few options, and TT weren't particularly creative in those responses neither. What are they willing to do to push FPX to the edge a little bit? Not quite out of it yet, TT, but winning 2 games back-to-back when the opening game looked like that, it's a pretty tough order, but it's an order that they're going to have to deliver on as we move into game 2.
Both teams need a series win here, and then preying on the downfall of EDG in the next series. FPX came out with a strong start. They have a very strong draft here on the red side. We'll see if TT can put up or shut up here. As we get into game number 2, we're already getting to level 1 again, and Hoya burns his flash, but this time it's not just a flash that's going down. It's about to be first blood 2, and it goes over to life.
All right, but big thing here, Deokdam did blow his flash, and now Feather has a really easy setup, and there's a brand in the game, man. So let's see how much that really pays off, because the gold went to life. It didn't go to Deokdam, it didn't go to MilkyWay, it went to the support.
It's going to be on site now, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. Again, very curious though about these early jungle pathings, what MilkyWay is and isn't going to be allowed to do. Lilia, a very versatile champion, can start on just about any camp and then make something really, really frustrating happen. Looks like, though, it will just be a blue star. Nothing suspicious. And, of course, Beichuan on the other end is going to be matching that.
Congratulations to Care for his 200th game in the LPL, a purely FPX developmental prospect there with the solo lane brothers in Xioalaohu and Care. It's been really, really awesome to see him be a pretty strong pillar for FPX to build around in the new era of the Phoenix. But I think the also funny part is just that continuation of the jungle conversation we had in the last game, where MilkyWay, the lone over from RNG, spent a lot of time with Royal Club, but now the face and stardom of FPX, and Beichuan spent his stardom coming up from the FPX jungle position from FPX Blaze, and then now spending 2 years here with TT.
A lot of history tied to FPX and producing some wonderful, wonderful talent. X-World champs after all.
I was going to say, almost like world champs. Crazy.
Yeah. But even post that, as this trade comes through, and it's definitely a bit more favorable for Care. As another dash forward. Level up will equalize out some of that trade. Obviously, differences here. Fleet footwork for Ucal, so eventually will whittle his health back up, whereas Care has that PTA. Definitely the differences will be felt, as this is a wave crash, but Brand's not here. So Deokdam is safe for now, but I'm still keeping my eyes on that Kai'Sa and for a dive to come through, because flashless Kai'Sa, jungler's path to the other side of the map, it's all coming together, isn't it? So Beichuan definitely has his options. Let's see whether or not he's able to abuse it, or whether or not it's just going to be a full clear into Skull angle, as they're keeping that wave there. They've kept it crash the whole time, but they don't want anything aggressive going on. Speaking of crash waves.
Ooh, try to punish the Scorpion man here. The Ixtal's impact gets stopped, and he's easily carved up. Xioalaohu is going to make it out alive, too, and a beautiful dive executed for his 2nd kill to FPX.
Yeah, easy as you like. Hoya, no flash. And that empowered part of the W from Lilia, so powerful now. They know the jungler for sure. MilkyWay is on the top side. FPX are very cognizant of the fact that Deokdam doesn't have flash, but TT, they just can't pull the trigger.
You know, I thought I learned something new every day being a zookeeper in Buffalo, New York, but you learn something new about the animal kingdom in the fact that deer and crocodiles combine to kill scorpions, I guess, on the top side of the map. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I guess so.
New every day.
It's, you know,
I just needed some time to
place.
write it down in my Zookeeper journal. Anyways, we're taking a look at the other side of the map now because there is going to be an objective spawning in about 35 seconds on that. We have Beichuan pathing up towards top side, though. I do wonder if that's going to adapt a little bit and if this dragon is going to take a little bit more priority than, say, it did in last game where we weren't getting it until almost 9 minutes in the game.
Yeah, I'm really... What I'm actually worrying about, though, is the grubs, because if you don't know, Brander's probably the single best grub taker in the game. But obviously his pathing is going to take him, in terms of camps, all the way down to the bottom side. So does he just want to reset hard off the Krugs and then immediately beeline back up there?
Oh, Care had no idea there was just going to be a bull in the bush up here. It's going to get jumped on, too. Ends up needing to be a little careful and not burning much there. Just takes about half his health. The problem is he doesn't have TP, so he's going to have to stay out here. Actually, just going to go ahead and back just in case for any of these objectives that'll be coming up.
Yep, just wants to make sure he's healthy. Beichuan, I think. Beichuan's going to take his Krugs and either run directly back up, 2 grubs, reset, or go for this dragon with some of that setup and through that chunk out of Care, because now Ucal gets to stack this wave. It's a wave that's got to be answered by Care. And then that gives them the window for the dragon. I think they'll happily take that trade. Bottom lane wave is neutral as well. And the fact of the matter is 1xN can shove it out faster than Deokdam likely can. Pings are coming through. That should be the setup. Be very, very surprised if FPX find an angle to stop this one from going down. And it's just pings onto the grubs, so they just want to cross map. Trade the dragon for grubs. Call it a day. So that'll be the early objective trade.
Interesting to go for these kinds of trades, but it's just the way the map was leaning for both junglers, so taking advantage of the pacing of the game. They also have priority down here on bot side. And also Beichuan, who just hit level 6 with the Pyroclasm. Those are 2 level 4 bot laners down there, and that's a very big price to pay for a jungle objective trade if they do lose 2 lives down here. Care already roaming.
Yeah, Beichuan has to be a little bit careful with Care in the back pocket, but this is one of the strengths of Brand. Like, if you have no camps to take, you can just be down here, chilling, fishing for skill shots, just kind of like a Nidalee would. And if they ever bunch up...
Deokdam getting baited.
It's so difficult on Care. I mean, look at Care. He has to try and hover for this at the very least, right? Otherwise, his bot lane just instantly dies.
Now they know they don't have any support coming because he's being stopped. But Feather tanking the turret. Oh, gets carved up into some ground beef, and that's a barbecue in my neck of the woods.
Yeah, indeed it is. And do you know, actually, what prevents that dive from coming through? It's MilkyWay's Swell Seed from base. Because, of course, that ultimate, you can cast it globally, as far as I'm aware. As long as someone is afflicted by your passive. And it turns around 1xN and Beichuan at the last second, so they just can't commit for the dive.
Whew. That's a very strong start by FPX so far here. Gonna get Dominus to maybe assert that dominance a little bit more. As Hoya taking heavy trades, and the Renekton, it's actually coming out clutch as a big answer into the Skarner. Culling gonna be used by Care. Feather was roaming again. He's like, you're not gonna catch me this time. And that's going to be multiple roam from Feather trying to get something jump-started for TT.
Yep, trying to. And I like the aggression. Especially after a game like how it played out. This is what I'm talking about, though. Watch 1xN and Beichuan's pathing. They both notice the swell seed. They can't step forward. And because they're so clumped up, it would probably hit both of them, you know, the splash on the back end of the skill shot as... Come out of the picture-in-picture. 1xN doesn't have flash, and yeah. Deokdam doesn't have cleanse, so I wonder if
Feather! He missed the combo! Oh no! Things are falling apart here, TT.
What is
getting all the combos used on him, and now Feather just getting low. One more auto. Oh, it's MilkyWay that ends up cleaving. I was going to say his life going to take another one there, but MilkyWay ends up getting a 4th kill for FPX, and bot lane dominance has been key. 1xN has no flash.
It's so frustrating if you're rooting for TT, though. Can imagine the POV. I mean, it's been priority all the way for 1xN and for Feather, but the plays they've tried to make around the side of the map have just fallen flat on their face. And Deokdam and Life have been able to hold on, and MilkyWay has come and claimed some of the benefits of their stalwart defense. I mean, so what is it? Is it a recommitment of ultimate, which then forces 1xN to flash? The answer is yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Away from the plasma proc. And then, I love the observers. but also it's a bit cruel. But that's kind of the thing. When you're that close, it's easy to mess up.
Yeah.
Even despite all of the changes. You flash forward that quick. Go for the sleep. Feather drops. A lot of brand damage does come out, but I mean, again, you know, it's not stopping the play from happening from FPX. They also steal the red on the back of it. All is well and good for them. TT lose out on another play. FPX continue to grow a gold lead.
And I really like to see these looks from FPX. Not only has it not been the brightest of splits so far for them, they're sitting at 2 and 3 totally, and their fate is kind of out of their hands after this, even if they 2-0 here. But it's been really nice to see the flexibility of MilkyWay. He was playing Talia, now he's flashing in for kills on the Lilia, and he is the engine right now that is running this game 2 of FPX. He's 3-0 and already has the Blackfire Torch completed.
The engine's purring right now. FPX. I mean, what? You know, I kind of mentioned it in the sense of there not being a lot of point-and-click CC earlier on. But who can really stop a Lilia in a game like this from just flashing forward again later on with his Zhonya's and just sleeping everyone? And the follow-up is just super easy. I'm going to get all 6 scrubs as well. TT, I don't know. I think the game, I don't want to call it already, but safe short of some serious wombo combos. Brand plus, you know, a big Skarner snipe with the ultimate. Things of that nature. It's starting to look like another game where FPX are going to gain control and just slowly choke them out. And again, it's the map play now that I have to look towards Mazel. About whether or not TT can actually, again, find answers, take tower trades, at the very least trade gold, whilst they're losing out on these skirmishes.
Do see TT circling for their first objective here. They will be able to, or at least second objective rather, to follow up on their first, get a second dragon for themselves. FPX moving in though. MilkyWay is going to try to get the follow-up here. Feather might just sacrifice his life. Valkyrie out means Ucal has an escape, and Feather is just going to be beef for the taking, but it's Taylor Instinct that brings Deokdam into the fight. Pyroclasm doing some work, but it might not be enough. The slowdown is king, and Beichuan gets pounced on by MilkyWay, and that's a double kill coming across for him. Kair's going to try to chase down Ucal. Culling into the back is not going to be enough.
Not enough. I mean, FPX, they only lose Xioalaohu. It's not the worst thing in the world. And they get so much for it. TT get a dragon, but realistically, what is it doing for the game state? The answer is nothing. It's just delaying an inevitable soul at this point, FPX. Full control of this game now. Herald's up in 2 minutes. You can expect to see some rotations around between Deokdam going mid, Kair maybe taking a side lane, probably top. And they send Renekton to the bottom side of the map. Here's the replay of the fight, though, and yes, TT, they get this dragon. Feather donates his life, but then this teleport here deep from Xioalaohu, despite eventually dying, sets up for the follow-up, right? Deokdam comes in, then brings life into the play. It's just enough to make sure that they're able to pick up more. Then realistically, they probably should have gotten for it. Now TT find themselves in a 3k gold deficit. With, again, Mazel, it feels like not much to play for other than waiting for some of these items to come online.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to have some damage on Beichuan, but Hoya also trying to get into these team fight impacts will be really, really important, because no matter what, Skarner always has huge team fight impacts. You have multi-chain CCs that you can pull off with it, so I'm really looking at Hoya to try to shore up a lot of these, as we will have some more scuffles in tow, because 50 seconds, there's a Rift Herald on the board.
Yep, exactly. Just, again, I continue to be very, very concerned for this TT side in terms of the actual options and choices I see them having in this game, because priority is probably going to slowly be won out by this Kai'Sa once, you know, a few more of those items come in as well. Life will just get continually hard as they play off this mid wave. Check in for some jungle camps. Get vision, move over to a side lane. And again, this is just that rolling pressure, Mazel, that again TT can't actually answer.
You can just have so much reach with MilkyWay moving around the map. He's also got a pretty hefty advantage now with 5 kills under tow. There is a TP coming in, so it's TT trying to make a difference here. Gonna get sweetly sung to sleep stopping that engage. Xioalaohu already popped the dominance, can be building up that rage bar here. FPX were moving to defend against this. Meanwhile, we do have a bit of a push from Karen, the outer bot side turret for FPX, but the Rift Herald will actually be given to TT, so they're starting to use their pressure a little bit better.
All right, I like this. It's a good answer. And again, this is what we need to see from TT, some creativity and stopping some FPX plays. And as I say that, speaking of creativity, this is something that realistically Hoya's not expecting.
Oh my god, they threw everything at him too.
Oh.
He goes through the wall. Is he going to be able to stop double impale? He can't move. They're under turret now. It's not enough. The turret's so low, but it's doing so much work. It's finally going to get taken down. He's also taken down on top of it. And all those legs going to be fried up nicely by the Phoenix.
Yeah, we spoke about creativity for TT, but look at that for FPX. Classic death rush. Life and Xioalaohu lay and wait for their prize, and Hoya just can't outrun 3 whole different champions. They'll at the very least cross-map this down here. They'll get this tier 1. But again, you know, it's consolation. Ucal, it's going to be nice gold for him. Beichuan, nice gold to get him back in the game. But FPX, they're just so strong at this stage in the game. And again, we're just going to continue to have to rely on waiting for that big impale moment to happen with a brand all over the top, all of that AoE. That's the only thing that's going to be able to save FPX, or rather TT, from FPX in a game state like this where they continue to strangle TT out.
I love it because I'm just imagining MilkyWay dressed up as a bowler right now. Like he's just literally out there at a bowling alley on a Friday night, you know, just having a great time trying to find people with the swirl seeds. Hasn't really been able to find any big engages, but one lilting lullaby in a big team fight later on is going to be absolutely massive. And he's going to be close to second item here very shortly. We got the Rift Herald play in mid lane by TT, though, trying to get this outer tower down.
Yeah, seeing what they can do. If you can pick up that mid tier 1, it really does open up the map just a bit, but again, it's so hard to press forward. There's a bit too much HP to really force that tower down and look for a fight. Xioalaohu.
He's got a massive flank right now. I don't think they know. There's that lilting lullaby I just talked about, and they're going to pull everything onto him. Calling onto the back. Ucal being excisioned from his team right now. Doesn't have given the flash that Deokdam to safety, and that pyroclasm doing work. As you think FPX, the Phoenix, might be immune to the fire, they cannot handle the heat in the kitchen. Now TT can move forward. This dragon, a little low, but TT, a lot healthier health bars to move in here. And Beichuan doesn't have much mana, but might have enough damage. They're going to push in. TP coming in from FPX. It's a little bit difficult. They're going to try to burn the dragon here. This is third dragon for TT, so Salt Point acquired. Now they got to get out.
Oh, it's so
They've got a
Mazel.
big croc on the other side, but FPX, they're willing to give it.
Wow, alright. I mean, honestly, from what we'd seen of FPX throughout today, I was fully anticipating that they would try and make that fight happen, but not willing to. It's good discipline. They just acknowledge if they lose out multiple members here, if MilkyWay loses that 500 gold bounty on his head, TT are suddenly back in it. So they just step away. They lose the dragon, and now TT, there's a hope, isn't there? They can get that soul. And then maybe it starts to help turn these fights around. Don't forget, with Brand in the game, those procs are going to be pretty damn nasty if they can get their hands on it. So, good swell seed here from MilkyWay. Double sleep. Solar Flare locks down Ucal for longer. He eats a part of the culling. Gets hit by that W from Deokdam. That final auto attack, it looks like it deals no damage. I think it's healing off Fleet Footwork. Just for your reasoning as to why he doesn't die. And as you come out of that replay, Life almost loses his.
Ulti is down for him as well as the flash, so we'll see exactly what that pays off later on. There is nothing really spawning besides the Baron here soon enough, but neither team really in position for that just yet. We are going to be looking at those second items. Leandre's completed for MilkyWay. He will continue to be a menace on this map.
Absolutely he will. Curious about what the third item will be here for MilkyWay, whether or not he wants. Sometimes you see people go Rylai's. I think Zhonya's definitely the undisputed best third item. Or hell, you know, there's one thing I will say. I don't think Lily is the best user of Double Bot. That's just me though. I think it does delay some of your other stronger core items as Xioalaohu.
He can't even get out. He's going to try to slice and dice his way, but he gets impaled right on the stinger of Hoya to set up for Beichuan getting the kill.
Yeah, can't move. Very unfortunate for him. He'll lose his life. Does die. Also, Mazel. Being a bit nitpicky because there's not really a lot to talk about on the map right now. I've noticed MilkyWay is maxing E second. It's definitely not what you do on Lilia, but it's okay. It's okay.
What are your notes?
What are my notes? My notes are you definitely max W.
He's
second.
bowling, bro. I told you. He's literally got that whole bowling shirt on. He's got the squeaky shoes.
All you get for maxing E is damage, right? That's it. Just base damage, no ratio changes, no cooldown.
Like.
Do you know what you get for maxing W second? Cooldown and damage. Cooldown and damage. You get both.
Not my Lilia. They were also standing right on a ward the whole time. So TT knew. And TT, honestly, they're feeling a lot more confident on the map. I think Beichuan has a lot to say for that. The underlying damage of the Pyroclasm has run rampant on FPX. But their poke damage is no slouch. 1xN and Ucal will melt a lot of the members of FPX.
Yeah, definitely will. And that's the thing when Brand's in the game. Especially, I mean, he's basing right now Beichuan. That should be realized. It's a very cheap item. It's 400 gold.
There it is.
Components. This is a huge spike that TT can very easily rely on. And now FPX, they almost have to approach the game differently because that Brand passive plus the burn, it leaves the Leandries on you for so long. You're there and you're slowed for like 3, 4, 5 seconds almost. It's very, very hard to play the game. So FPX, especially the melee champions, they have to try and keep themselves even more separated. MilkyWay, Xioalaohu, and Life. Just to make sure that they're not allowing those procs to very happily spread across the team.
Get you a teammate like Feather. That's all I'm saying. Maybe stop the Deokdam cheese. No, it's honestly been really good. I like to take the advantage to talk about Feather because it's been really cool. He was obviously splitting time with Teo for TT, but I really like the presence he's brought. A little bit of that engage potential that he's been really able to kind of shot call his way onto the team for. We'll see if it makes the difference here, though, as Dragon is coming up in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Set up at the minute, as you can see, very, very FPX favored. Not a lot of information.
You get that down, you go for it. Now, that Lilting Lullaby will not be available for this. They didn't follow it up with anything, but that's a big one. Now, Ucal also has transformed into Muramana.
Exactly. A lot of things going on now. Beichuan without that flash. Very vulnerable to a play, but MilkyWay's ultimate so big.
They're in such an awkward choke. Yeah, Life will take advantage of that every time. TT are completely split. Life goes in, gives his life, but he might just be a martyr that FPX were looking for. The Phoenix is trying to rise from the ashes, but TT are snuffing him out one by one. Care goes in for his own play. MilkyWay with all that gold. It's about to be shut down straight over, and a triple kill goes to Beichuan. Hoya and Ucal stand strong, and TT claim the soul.
TT are going to pick up this soul. They won't quite get the Baron, but soul is so huge. And again, you know, Beichuan, we spoke about that red spike, and it was for a bloody good reason. It just makes the game so awkward for FPX to actually actively approach and be super aggressive. And not everything was layered in together. Like Life diving in for Beichuan, there just wasn't the follow-up on the frontal part of the engage. Take a look at it, because that first part, the ultimate misses, throws out the Pyroclasm. Beichuan, and it only hits him, but then no one's actually there to follow up for Life. Xioalaohu gets peeled off by that Skarner, and then again, you know, Care, MilkyWay. There's no ultimate from MilkyWay, realistically. That's the big game changer. They used it to try and pick on Beichuan, and without it, they just don't have everything in their arsenal available to make that a real one fight. And now they lose Soul. Baron's still on the cards, and undeniably, FPX are still in a very strong spot, but that Soul, again, it's one of those kind of things. It can just very slowly start to tilt the axles in favor of TT.
Love to see the TT staff getting hype in the backstage. It is an important one for both these two teams. They need wins here, and they're praying EDG lose to JDG later on. Group A, of course, had to come down to the last here. And all of them have been. Hoya having his big impact moments so far, was a monumental force in that last fight. And the Skarner showing its true colors here as the late game menace.
So potent. So potent. And like we said, we're waiting for that big impale play, right? There's normally one in a game where you see a Skarner get 2-3 people in, and it's always one of them is the key carry. Can Hoya find his target? That's the question, because if he can, so much chain CC, so much AoE will be followed up on more times than it isn't, that it makes you worry for FPX. And I think it's right to worry.
Beichuan overstepped. Now he has to go golden, but he popped that pyroclasm there, so he's going to get a lot of damage back for it. Xioalaohu burning. They do end up getting him in the end as well, so it will be the trade 1-for-1, but that's your jungler down. I love that instant decision-making by FPX, but they have to answer to it now.
Yeah, they can't do the Baron off the back of this play, though. That's the unfortunate part for FPX. But they do get the jungler. It's a nice pick. It's a nice play. And they also get the, I forget the name. They get the stasis off that item. Seeker's Arm Guard.
There you go. I was trying to figure out what item you were talking about.
Yeah. So they pop the active, the one-time use. Of course, Beichuan will eventually have that Zhonya's completed. We'll have it every 2 minutes. But just before then, on this next time that they're out on the map, maybe they can find another play onto him. Still flashless from before that Dragon Skirmish a few minutes ago. FPX. As we take the zoom out, everyone's pretty much dead even in terms of items, right? Completed items. There's not much to talk about there. It really will just be about execution, setup, and again, whether or not MilkyWay finds that big sleep to set FPX up for a strong skirmish.
I think saving that's really big, but I also want to talk about TT's entrance into these fights. They have the pyroclasm once things kick off, but they have a lot of pick out potential, and their range is super important to utilize against FPX. Whereas FPX, they've got a lot of stick and move champs, they've got a lot of setup CC with the Lilting Lullaby, and they're going to need to set that up right now as TT is just hard burning the Baron. The TP on the backside will be Xioalaohu joining. Instant dominance pop, but the Baron's already going down. Here comes the Croc. In the pit they go, though. Who's going to get the smite? It's taken by MilkyWay. The hopes and the dreams of FPX ride on this star, and they're riding sky high into space as a triple kill comes through for Deokdam. It's all TT's hopes and dreams shattered by the presence of MilkyWay.
TT hedged everything on that Baron play, and FPX in seconds crushed that dream for TT. Baron in tow. They lost 2 members, and it's only the support and top, like they care. The carries have the Baron. They get tier 2 top. They get 2 towers mid. It's a huge gold swing. 5,000 gold on this Baron play alone. And I mean, you just have to wonder.
Yeah, they went from 3K up now to almost 10,000. You see it all play out here. That's such a good seed, man.
Such a good swell seed, such a good flank. They kill Beichuan, it's not a 50-50. MilkyWay just has to wait for it to drop below 1.2k. And it's as easy as that. The collapse is just solid from FPX, and this time out, multiple angles, but all kind of frontal. Alright, that's what they've been looking for the entire game. They had it for the first 10 to 20 minutes. TT gave them something to think about for the last 6. But FPX are given one avenue in, and they kick the damn door open.
There's an Elder Dragon coming up in a minute. TT felt like they had done such good getting that stacking going for the Dragons, but now they're being burst into, and TT backs against the wall. FPX looking for a 2-0 here, and then hoping for the best of the next series. It has been a masterclass of a series, it feels like, from FPX. MilkyWay having a lot of say in that first game on the Talia, this time on the Lilia. But it has been constant pressure and constant pushing by FPX. And this is the FPX that people will know and love from spring.
Absolutely. This feels more reminiscent of the team that got everyone thinking maybe they can make some kind of weird run all the way in last playoffs. As just picture in picture, it's that double sleep down there. Cleanse comes out from Ucal. But again, that's that threat. it's a lengthy cooldown. It'll be up by the time FPX want to start up the Elder Dragon. Though as I say that, they are starting it up, so
one last
really
fight.
too fussed about it.
See who goes off into the sunset as victors. Beichuan getting chunked by that Swirl Seed. And here's some of that poke being returned by FPX. Elder Dragon did reset, though. So Beichuan getting chunked by it here. Will still have a lot of damage under toe with that Pyroclasm. The culling comes out. That vision game's pretty strong. Xioalaohu waiting on the flank here. MilkyWay trying to get some poke in. Can't get a big lilting lullaby just yet. Engage goes in, but Xioalaohu is there. And FPX, they got 4-deer drive here. Can they make it happen? Feathers getting a little low. Look at 1x in. He's popping heads. Killer Instinct comes back from Deokdam. Elder Dragon secured by TT. And they wipe the floor with FPX. They had a 10k lead, Jamada. And they lose it just like that. Care's gonna get chased down here by Ucal, but it might not just be enough. He's gonna cleanse, he's gonna run, one more auto attack, the burn's not enough, the rocket's not gonna connect, but TT, they turn it all around.
He's gonna chase him the whole way, no doubt. Cat has to make sure he doesn't base in a greedy spot. Oh, he wanted the life steal. Maybe the actual camp itself wasn't expecting Ucal to go the distance. But FPX, I mean, I'd have to see the replay. But MilkyWay, I don't think his ult was up still. I think it was still on cooldown. That or he just didn't have a good opportunity to use it, one or the other. Either way, he dies before that dragon does. And that gives TT a very easy in. Beichuan as well got so much damage out before he died. Zhonya's bought him so much time. And that's another thing. I'm not sure MilkyWay got to use his either.
We'll take a look now. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. The lilting lullaby was not up yet.
Yeah, just wasn't up. A couple seconds away, I think, by the time the full kickoff happens. I mean, actually, no.
It's up.
It's definitely up.
He just doesn't have a big angle.
Yeah.
I expected a flash lilting lullaby play.
Skarner,
Yeah.
though. That's why he gets shoved into a piercing arrow. Beichuan gets so much damage out as well. No one's able to finish him off on FPX's side, and then, of course, this isn't a 50-50 if MilkyWay's dead.
Yep.
And it's just a well-positioned fight from TT, but again, the presence of Skarner and what he can actually provide for his team coming out yet again.
This is happening again. Like, this is literally the track record of Skarner. Just get absolutely bodied in lane and then come up clutch with a couple big impales late game, win the team fights. It's actually crazy.
I hate this champion, man. Captain Flowers, I'm sorry. You know,
ain't holding back there.
I love,
you know,
like, Flowers, I love you. I don't like your champ, man. Your champ sucks. It's so annoying.
But
so
he has had a big impact here, and I think Hoya will be very happy comparatively to that first game where Xioalaohu definitely felt like he had his number. Now we are getting on 4 items for FPX. Going to be getting close to that for 1xN and the rest of TT as well. That poke, though, is returned in kind. As we see, Ucal having to take it back and Valkyrie away.
Well, Baron's up. Elder's gone.
It's just
and
a bullet
FPX,
hell. It's literally just a bullet hell.
It is. What can FPX do here to try and make this game a little bit awkward for themselves? I have an idea. I'm sure everyone would love to hear it. It's called MilkyWay flashing in and actually sleeping people. That said, though, TT, all they have to do is keep their core carries alive, right? Feather, Hoya, they're just on peel duty. They're practically just 2 supports, ensuring that no one actually dives onto their carries, and that they're setting up for that damage to come through. That's about it. That's the entire game, Mazel. And whether or not these 2 junglers specifically can get out their damage, get out their CC, and set up for their carries in the mid and the AD slots to actually pop off.
Yeah. Isn't it so fitting that both these junglers popping off in this second game? Both these junglers, a track record with FPX, Beichuan, a time before MilkyWay was even present here, and then now MilkyWay, the new star of FPX in their new era. It has been really fun to watch these 2 guys work against each other. Now it all comes down to a couple executed points and maybe an engage by TT. They're using the Ixtal's impact by Hoya to get life back. That Solar Flare does a lot to separate back the fight, but the burn from Feather is enough to get the kill. And now FPX down a member, need to try to pull back or maybe even stop the back so Xioalaohu can get a little bit more damage down here on the top side, but he will escape.
Life caught out. Life goes down, but no Baron attempt from TT. Very conscious of the fact that Xioalaohu could maybe take an entire inhibitor on the top side, but now, with that pressure seeded, they can look for a little bit of control around this. Xioalaohu's on a flank. There's vision here. It's all a bit awkward. Yeah,
they don't know he's here. I don't think. Well, now they'll know because he steps up.
Ooh.
Another Swirl Seed connects, a lilting lullaby onto them all. Xioalaohu wants the death knell there, but he can't get it. He's gonna death twist all over him. Can he get it? He's not gonna have the damage just yet, but MilkyWay, but he'll follow him up. Now TT trying to fight tooth and nail, but they can't do it. MilkyWay, he goes golden, and the burning health bars of TT by 1xN's last stand will not be enough. And FPX's star finds another triple, and he'll try to slingshot their way straight into the galaxy.
We've been calling it the entire last 10 minutes or so. It's just about MilkyWay, whether he can get the setup. He finds a Swirl Seed onto Ucal, and I think it was Beichuan.
They're going for it.
And they've got this game in. They've got 6 scrubs, they've got a wave, and no one's alive for 15 seconds. FPX should be taking the series 2-0. Moving to 3-3. And then waiting for EDG and this JDG series to play out.
They needed a 2-0, and now they are the biggest Edward Gaming haters of all time. They're trying to make their push into the Ascend group for the next round, and FPX will claim a 2-0 over TT.
My oh my. Talk about dramatic. Certainly a bit of theater to end this game. FPX pushed to the wire by TT. You can't deny that. And you have to feel a little bit for TT. But they will go into that Group B. Moving into the next portion of the LPL. And FPX now awaiting the results from JDG and EDG. The next series here tonight. And whether or not EDG can pull off something a little bit special. But nonetheless, FPX have put themselves in the best possible position with a 2-0 against TT here.
I love to see players having a good time. I love to see smiles on their faces. Again, it hasn't been the most beautiful run from FPX so far, but honestly, such a breath of fresh air from MilkyWay in this series. The Talia